For generations, people were taught that Irish heritage was purely Celtic. Schoolbooks repeated the story of tribes migrating from Central Europe and shaping the island's identity. But modern genetics paints a far richer, and far more surprising, picture. DNA research now shows that the history of Ireland is not a simple Celtic tale, but a long, layered saga involving multiple ancient populations. Genetic studies across Ireland reveal deep connections with Scotland and Wales, and more distant links with England. Yet the most unexpected discoveries come from ancient remains, which point to origins far beyond Central Europe. Early settlers of Ireland may have come from surprisingly distant regions, suggesting a far more diverse Stone Age population than once imagined. The first known humans arrived in Ireland around 10,000 years ago. Their traces can still be found today. At Mount Sandal in Coleraine, one of the oldest settlements on the island, archaeologists discovered evidence of small woven huts, stone tools, and the remnants of meals made from hazelnuts and berries. These clues offer a rare glimpse into the lives of Ireland's earliest inhabitants. For centuries, Ireland was grouped with the so-called Celtic world, along with Wales and Scotland. The Greeks originally used the term Celtoi to describe distant Central European tribes they considered barbaric. And while early Irish art shares some resemblance to artifacts from these groups, historians have long noted that the cultures are not identical. Genetic research now supports this view. The Irish are not simply descendants of Central European Celts. Breakthroughs in ancient DNA sequencing during the 21st century changed everything. Researchers at Trinity College Dublin and Queen's University Belfast discovered evidence of at least 2 major prehistoric migrations into Ireland. One genome belonged to a farmer who lived more than 5,000 years ago. She carried strong genetic ties to southern Europe, especially Spain and Sardinia, and her ancestors ultimately traced back to the Middle East, the birthplace of early agriculture. This suggests that farming traditions were carried into Ireland by migrants connected to the Fertile Crescent. A second major migration arrived during the Bronze Age. DNA from 3 men on Rathlin Island, dating back about 4,000 years, showed that roughly a third of their ancestry came from the steppe regions of modern Russia and Ukraine. These migrants slowly spread across Europe before reaching Ireland, bringing cultural and genetic influences that still shape the populations of Ireland, Scotland, and Wales today. Remarkably, this scientific evidence echoes Ireland's oldest legends. The Book of Invasions, a medieval text, describes successive waves of people settling the island, the dark-skinned Fir Bolg, the mystical Tuatha Dé Danann, and eventually the Milesians, said to have come from Spain. While myth is not science, the idea of multiple migrations aligns strikingly well with modern DNA findings. Even more intriguing, Y-chromosome studies show that the R1b haplogroup, dominant in Western Ireland, is also extremely common in the Basque region of northern Spain, hinting at deep ancestral connections across the Atlantic seaboard. Geography may explain these links. In prehistoric Europe, inland travel was slow due to dense forests, but the sea acted as a natural highway. Communities along the Atlantic coast, from Spain to Brittany to Ireland, shared trade routes, cultural ideas, and, as genetics shows, ancestry. One of the most fascinating discoveries involves men from northwest Ireland. A large percentage of them, along with about 2% of men in New York City, descend from a single ancestor who lived roughly 16 to 17 centuries ago. This timeline matches the legendary High King Niall of the Nine Hostages, whose O'Neill dynasty shaped Irish history for centuries. His genetic signature remains remarkably widespread. Research from 2018 added more detail. It showed that the Irish have strong genetic ties to northwest France, especially Brittany, as well as western Norway. Earlier studies underestimated Viking influence, but new data reveals that Norse settlers left a deeper genetic imprint than once believed. The genetic story of Ireland is, above all, a story of movement, of people arriving, mixing, and adapting over thousands of years. While today's Irish share a strong cultural identity, their DNA connects them to ancient farmers from the Middle East, maritime communities from Iberia, Bronze Age steppe herders, and later waves from Britain and Scandinavia. The R1b haplogroup, especially common in Irish men, reinforces these ancient links. It appears at similarly high rates in northern Spain, suggesting that some distant ancestors of the Irish traveled along the Atlantic coastline thousands of years ago. Isolation also played a major role. Because Ireland is an island on Europe's western edge, it was shielded from many of the migrations that reshaped the continent. As a result, Ireland's gene pool is one of the most stable in Europe, preserving genetic patterns that date back to the Stone Age. Genetic evidence also connects surnames to ancestry. Many Gaelic surnames carry some of the highest frequencies of the R1b haplogroup, indicating descent from ancient west-moving populations who settled in Ireland long before medieval conquests. Other theories propose links between Ireland and Iberia through ancient Celtiberians who may have traveled north. While not proven, the genetic parallels between Ireland and the Iberian Peninsula suggest that these connections may not be purely mythical. More comprehensive genetic mapping shows that Ireland's closest relatives are populations in western Britain. People in Northern Ireland share especially strong genetic bonds with Western Scotland, a reflection of centuries of migration, including the expansion of the Irish kingdom of Dal Riata into Scotland between the 5th and 8th centuries. This movement carried the Gaelic language, shared cultural traits, and even the MC1R gene variant responsible for red hair, pale skin, and freckles. This gene emerged tens of thousands of years ago and was brought into the British Isles by early settlers. Today's redheads often carry a direct genetic link to these ancient populations. The term Black Irish, often used abroad, usually refers to Irish people with dark hair. Its origins are debated. Some theories point to survivors of the Spanish Armada, others to ancient contact with Iberia or North Africa, especially among coastal trading communities. In some cases, it reflects the complex history of Irish Africans descended from the Atlantic slave trade and Irish indentured servants. The term is cultural rather than genetic, and its meaning varies widely. What all these findings show is simple: Irish identity is not defined by a single migration, a single culture, or a single bloodline. It is the product of thousands of years of movement, mixture, isolation, and adaptation. From early hunter-gatherers to Bronze Age newcomers, from medieval dynasties to Viking settlers, the Irish genome carries the echoes of countless ancestors who shaped the island long before the modern nation existed. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe for more videos exploring the hidden stories written in our DNA.